Welcome. We are back. Another week upon us in the market. I can't hear out of my right ear, so yeah, I don't know. I'm just randomly bringing that up. What's up, Mr. 90210? Thank you again for the tip last stream. What's up, Medi, Nerve, Yellow Man? How you doing? Futures are down a lot. S&P and Nasdaq futures are down over 0.5%, and Russell 2000 futures are down pretty much 1.7%. So really right across the board. Bitcoin's pulling back a little bit here. We're going to get into everything. We're going to start off with crypto. Then we're going to be talking about the market. After that, I'm going to talk about some individual stocks, the ongoing swings, and we'll see where we are then. So yeah, it's a crazy week. COVID infection rates are really soaring right now. On Tuesday, I believe Biden's going to be talking about Omicron and everything. From my understanding, not a professional at all when it comes to anything science related, but it looks like this new variant spreads very, very easily, but it's not nearly as dangerous as some of the previous ones. So we'll see how everything continues to develop. We're already seeing a bunch of different, lockdowns in different workplaces, in different countries. even some colleges moving to online. So we're starting to see a lot of stuff like that again, and we'll see how, you know, some of these stay-at-home stocks look this week and stuff like that. So let's get everything starting off with Bitcoin. It's currently under the 200-day moving average on the daily. You did get a MACD crossover to green as well. So I don't know. On the 4-hour, I had this little downsloping channel charted. I kind of readjusted it. Until this breaks either direction, I'm still just neutral on Bitcoin. I don't see much of a short-term edge on Bitcoin. It's just kind of in this 50-50 area. So just waiting for a larger move. I think Ethereum looks a little bit better from a technical standpoint. You got yet another bounce off of this demand line. Now you're just testing this 39.61 resistance. You have some classic bullish divergence developing on the daily, and even the context is kind of cup and handle like. So we'll see what happens with Ethereum. OMI, kind of, look at this. I mean, we talked about over here how OMI was showing a bunch of different support, the pin bars and the volume and the divergence. We talked about that. We even talked about the pattern, this downsloping channel, broadening wedge. It broke out of it, and I said, go back to my streams from last week. I said, this is your resistance area, and hit the resistance. Now it's pulled back, and now it's trying to reflip a previous resistance from over here back into a support, but a bearish engulfing candle on the daily. So we'll see what happens. In terms of stocks, looking at futures, Russell 2000 is kind of testing this little demand line on the futures chart. NASDAQ testing another important area. So we're testing the big levels going into this week. Just looking at the futures, we're gonna move on over to the actual indices a little bit later. But you can see, as I showed you, the Russell's sitting at this demand line. The NASDAQ is sitting at this previous high from right over here. It was also flipped into a low in the beginning of the month, and now you're retesting it yet again. In 3 days, you've pretty much sold off about halfway down to what would be an official correction in the NASDAQ, about 5%. And then the S&P 500 kind of in a little bit of a random area. Just looking at the futures chart, I'd say like 45.50 would be the closest support. So really, you know, looking at the major futures, you know, indices or ETFs, like, you don't want them to double top. If the S&P futures take out this low over here, then you're going to have a confirmed double top. This was your first top. This was your second top. If you break under this neckline over here, you're going to be confirming a double top, and that's, you know, that's not what you want. And keep on forgetting the opposite of a 3 white soldiers. I think it's a 3 black crows or something, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see, you know, with also COVID and everything, getting a bearish catalyst and bearish pattern confirmation would not be what you would want. So you just want to, I guess, make similar lows or higher lows, looking at those futures. And then for the Russell, you'd probably just want to bounce off this demand line, or in general, this support zone over here. So let's get started with the SPY on the daily. Still has the potential for a potential inverse head and shoulders, but it's got to start curling at some point. And unless it breaks that neckline, you kind of don't have it. And what were we talking about towards the end of last week? Your 2 levels that you wanted to watch. The first level of resistance was around 470-ish. I said a break above 470 would be good. You never got that. And then the support was 460, and you broke that, unfortunately, on Friday morning. So you broke the support I was talking about last Thursday night. You gave up this little low. If we take a look at my other chart, you could see this little low over here. It was a gap fill level and a support. On the SPX, which is like the actual index, you did close above it. On the SPY, you closed under it. So yeah, we also talked about the bearish divergence on the daily. That's now confirmed. So on the SPY and the NASDAQ, you're not looking too good from a technical standpoint. That doesn't concern me that much. Honestly, I don't really care if they sell off. They could sell off. To me, it's fine. What I'm more focused on, as we've been talking about for a week, is the ARK ETF and the Russell 2000, the small cap index, and the ARK Innovation ETF. So I mean, the futures for the Russell are horrible right now. They're down 2%. You might see a lot of small caps down 10% if we open with the Russell down 2%. So you got to keep that in mind before I talk about all these individual stocks tonight. If futures hold like this in the morning, you're going to be gapping down on a lot of different small caps pretty harshly. So keep all that in mind, please. So in terms of this week, I don't really care if the SPY sells off the whole week. What I'm really just hoping for is for the Russell to show some sort of relative strength. In terms of futures, it's currently not. It's kind of lagging right now. So we did see some relative strength last week. We had a couple days, even Friday. The ARK ETF was up 6%. The S&P was down 1.5%. Those are exactly the type of days that I want to see. Will we get that tomorrow if futures hold like this? Probably not. So we'll see what happens. Talking about the Russell 2000 in general, yet another day bouncing around this little support area, still within this pattern. From a technical standpoint, really nothing has changed on the Russell 2000. Nice 4-hour bullish engulfing candle on Friday morning, and double bottoming at a 113 retrace from this low to this high. Like to see that as well. Even got a hammer candle as your first candle on Friday. So really good technicals into the close on Friday. But again, the futures are currently sitting down 2% right now, which that would take you under those lows. Yeah, certainly would, or at least to retest those lows. So that's really it for the Russell 2000. I just want to see it hold this support going into the week. The arc is pretty similar. You have kind of this dragon pattern over here. A lot of different stocks have a similar setup to this, and I'll show you some right now. Here's Carnival. Here's SPCE. So a lot of stocks are just looking very, very similar to these ETFs and indices. So you have a lot of like small caps and mid cap growth stocks looking like potential double bottoms with a supply line, kind of dragonish patterns. But then you have a lot of large cap stocks kind of looking like they're rolling over, right? So if we take a look at the SPY, you kind of have this double top kind of rolling over. If we take a look at the largest stock in the world, you see Apple, it's kind of rolling over. So you're seeing very, very direct correlations between these indices, obviously, because they represent those underlying stocks as a basket. And this is pretty good if we can hold it. The only question is, can we hold it? You know, if we're going to see Russell futures down 2% every single night, we're not going to be holding it. And they're probably both large, mid, and small caps are going to underperform. If we can kind of hold these technical setups where the large caps are rolling over, but the small caps and the mid caps are starting to show bottoming signals from only a technical standpoint, not necessarily a fundamental standpoint, then you could get a rotation from large caps into more small cap and mid cap names. Even on Friday, we saw AMC up 19%, CLOV was up 5%, GameStop was up 8%. So, you know, the short squeeze setting kind of looked like we were heading back in towards it on Friday. It's almost like I was talking about GameStop and AMC literally all week last week on stream. So that was really cool to see on Friday. But yeah, we saw a very similar thing last November to kind of the middle of February, where a lot of large caps went sideways. They did nothing, but a lot of small caps and SPACs and EVs and pot stocks were just soaring and soaring until they all kind of topped out in February. So it's really a question of, you know, with COVID starting to really go back up again, what does Biden have to say on Tuesday? How is the Fed going to update their stance? I believe the next meeting will be in January at this point, so we have to wait until then. Good news is we're already past CPI and the most recent Fed meeting. Bad news is we have to wait for the next one, but we'll see what happens between now and then. So that's really my thoughts on the market. The NASDAQ, kind of just testing this little $15,000 level. That's probably the short-term level I'll be watching for support this week, and then 15.4K as resistance. So for the NASDAQ this week, 15K as your support. Break under that and you might see some pretty rough intraday swings to the downside. If you can hold above 15K, that would be great. We'll see what happens. So yeah, going into this week, it's not really too hard to look at things from a technical standpoint. Small caps and mid caps look better from a technical standpoint, but small caps and mid caps can roll over and continue to the downside a lot easier if we get a sell everything risk off environment. So you have to kind of really start taking a look at the fundamentals as well. Now, we've been talking about the technicals. All of last week's analysis, you can go back and watch, was pretty spot on, but now you have something that can override technicals, right? We always talk about that on the stream. Catalysts can come out of nowhere. That's why you have to pair technical analysis with risk management. If you're not doing that, you're asking to lose money. So still, a lot of these charts have really good chances, but if more news comes out about COVID and more data comes out that's just really not helping the situation, you could see a lot of these technicals just getting validated, because people are going to be running away from the market, in my opinion, if you start getting more lockdowns and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. That's really my thoughts on the overall market. I sent something else in the premium chat earlier today. So somebody asked, or somebody stated, I doubt we could support another lockdown. I said I think we could as a society. I think a lot of us now have a lot more experience with what that looks like. But in terms of the economy, you know, it's a whole different story. As a society, now we have a lot more experience. There's not so much uncertainty if we go into a lockdown. It's kind of like, all right, everybody knows the drill at this point. But from an economical standpoint, you still have unchanged interest rates, but you have soaring inflation. Now, if you tie that in with the lockdown, might not be the best scenario. You have a lot of people shifting jobs. I think Jerome Powell talked about that in his last speech. Just a lot of people leaving jobs in hopes of better ones, because the labor market's pretty, you know, sided towards workers right now and not necessarily entrepreneurs or the corporate side. You have tapering as well now, which is added into the mix, less QE. So that could be a little bit of bad timing right there. And then also another thing I've been noticing, let's take a look at this. So obviously we had the COVID crash all the way down here in March of February, end of February to March of 2020. Let's look at the US 10-year during that period. You can see it just fell off a cliff pretty much in Q1 of 2020, and it actually lagged the overall market quite a bit. It only really started going in December. By that time, the S&P was already up a lot from the COVID lows. So you see now, just like it fell leading up into the COVID crash, you're starting to get this pullback on the US 10-year. It's starting to break this little support range. But what else did you see a little bit just before the COVID crash and everything? Dollar, right? Take a look at the dollar right here. You initially sold off, but it was really quick to recover. The dollar kind of recovered prior to the equity market recovering. So you got the initial sell-off from February 20th. It was kind of like everything was going down. I think even gold was going down. There you go. So gold was going down, but you can see gold and the dollar went up before, right? You kind of have March 10th to March 15th. That week was kind of your bottom. And then for the SPY, if we go back down over here, it was kind of like the end of March. That was your bottom. So there was kind of like a 2-week delay in terms of, let me skip this song, in terms of the dollar and gold going up before equities. And then 2 weeks later, equities started kind of recovering, and then equities kind of outperformed all the other asset classes. So that's really another thing I'm keeping a very, very, very close eye on. You're kind of getting some indications there. So we'll see what happens. Apart from that, the Hang Seng Index gapped down a little bit over 0.5%, lowest price since May of 2020. That's not looking too good. So that's really my thoughts on the market going into this week. Rick P says CLOV. We can start off with CLOV. We're going to start off with some charts I just want to talk about, and then I'll go over the ongoing swing. Starting off with CLOV. All right. You have to keep all of this in mind before I go through all these individual names tonight, okay? A lot of these charts look really, really good from solely technical standpoint. I'm going to say this 1,000 times. Hopefully, let me just say it once. I don't have to say it 1,000 times, but a lot of these small caps, mid caps, based on the technicals that I use, have a really, really, really good signals right now. However, like I just talked about, if those overall indices start rolling, small caps, mid caps could actually be the first ones to really start declining, right? Because a lot of people might just want to stay in their safe names, quote unquote, until they get ready to sell those as well. So from a technical standpoint, we're looking pretty good across the board on a lot of these different small caps and mid caps. From a fundamental standpoint, those technicals can get overridden very, very quickly. So for every single chart I talk about tonight, keep in mind the overall market, COVID, and just fundamentals that can override every single one of the technicals I talk about tonight. Please remember that, because I don't want to have to say every single chart I look at, oh, but that fundamentals can override this. Just remember that for all the charts I talk about. Now I'm just going to look at all these charts as if futures are not down 2%, as if we do not have COVID rates spiking up, okay? The rest of the stream, we're going to pretend that we actually don't have futures down so much and that COVID rates are not spiking up, just so we can only talk about the charts. But remember in the back of your head, for the rest of the stream, that we do have futures for small caps down 2%, and we do have spiking COVID rates, okay? So now I don't have to repeat that a bunch of times. So let's talk about everything from a solely technical standpoint, and which can be overridden literally in one day. Starting off with CLOV, from a technical standpoint, in my opinion, it looks the best it has since pretty much late November, okay? We had that initial supply line I drew, it broke out of it, kind of made a slightly lower low, and then it's running up again. Or the secondary supply line I drew, which it just broke out of as well towards the end of last week. You have a bullish engulfing candle on the daily, MACD crossover to green, classic bullish divergence on the daily, a couple different hammer candles and long lower wicked candles on the daily towards this bottom over here. So bulls have done a pretty good job of defending the upper $3 level on CLOV. 4-hour chart, you broke out of a supply line with the bullish engulfing candle, a little bit of nice increase in volume on that candle as well. 1-hour chart, you broke out of a descending broadening wedge. I told you we had the partial decline. I said there was a 70% chance of an upside breakout. You got it. Even on lower time frames, you could see it looks a lot like a double bottom around 380-ish over here. And CLOV had a very, very nice move on Friday. So from a technical standpoint, if you could just hold above 380, you kind of have finally broken out of your supply lines across the board. So that's CLOV. Move on to FUBO now. FUBO I'm keeping an eye on this week. This was a swing that recently stopped out. But you can see on FUBO, you actually had this hammer candle for your first 4-hour candle on Friday. You flipped a supply line into a demand line, as you can see with those arrows. So I'm keeping an eye on FUBO this week. I'm keeping an eye on GGPI this week, hidden bullish divergence, developing nearly confirmed on the 4-hour, and kind of in this apex area where it's testing a supply line and it's just above a support. Another one I'm watching this week is Lucid. Not an official harmonic here, but you have hidden bullish divergence. You double bottomed at the PCC, and another mid cap, which had a bullish pin bar, a bullish hammer candle as a first 4-hour candle. So basically you had a lot of gap downs on Friday morning, but a lot of quick recoveries. So you really rejected the downside very, very quickly on Friday morning, which led to a lot of small caps and mid caps getting these hammer candles. So I'm just simply watching GGPI to see if it can hold this support and break out. I'm watching Lucid this week to see if it can hold this support and just curl back up. So I'm watching, those are 2 names I just want, or 3 names I just want to bring up: FUBO, GGPI, and Lucid. I already tweeted them out earlier from the Discord. You probably saw them in the announcements channel. I sent a watch list with like 8 other tickers in premium. Actually, I think 10, added 2 more towards the end. So a lot of these individual names looking pretty interesting. We could talk about AMC. Go to we could go to last Sunday night stream, I believe it was, where I said you were pretty much right over here. That was your close on the Friday before it, and we were looking at it, or I might be one day off. Okay, no, it was maybe last Monday night stream, not last Sunday night. So Monday night last week, we were talking about how it was kind of at $22, $22.50, and I was saying 2050 is the support level. It was a 786 of a Gartley, a little bit scuffed, but it was also back testing a previous high from the squeeze of January this year. And then literally we talked about on Monday night, and then Tuesday morning it gapped down to that mid $20 level, and that was your low of the week last week. And from that low, AMC went up 40%. Okay, just I guess another stream handout that will be forgotten forever, but I'll remember it. And on the 1-hour chart, I even shared this on Twitter and in the Discord. You had a double bottom and a breakout of a wedge. I try to talk about these things. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking to myself at this point. But yeah, really nice move right up to the $30 resistance point on AMC. It's a previous low. It flipped into a resistance. So not surprised that it went up 20%. The technicals indicated that. There you go. What's up, Cheddar Freeze? PCE numbers this week. Analysts believe they may come in hot again. And Cheddar Freeze has to go. Have a good one. So that's AMC. Tesla, another one I want to bring up. Had a nice little move. I was hoping for a much larger move, and I still am, but it had a nice move, and then it kind of flipped over. Had a slightly green day on Friday, but still keeping an eye on Tesla. It actually did fill this gap as your low on Friday. You still have potential hidden bullish divergence on the daily and classic bullish divergence on the 4-hour, and still trying to defend this demand line. So I'm still keeping a close eye on Tesla. We'll see if it can hold this blue zone. What else I want to talk about? AMD, keeping an eye on this one on the 1-hour charts. Maybe trying to put in the right shoulder of a potential inverse head and shoulders after this wedge breakout, which again we talked about over here. So that's AMD. Apple on the 1-hour also has some classic bullish divergence, maybe is forming a little bit of a wedge here. Support level I'm watching is 169.93. So a lot of these charts they're pretty much sitting just above support level. So I'll be interested to see tomorrow if we gap down. And if we gap down under these levels, can we reclaim those levels right away, or do they flip into resistance? If a lot of these levels get gapped under and they flip into resistance, then a lot of these technical setups might break down very, very quickly. So that's another thing I want to also put out there. So those are some just stocks I wanted to talk about. Now let's go over the ongoing swings. We're going to start off with Fisker. Pretty much just at the entry, it's down a little bit over 0.5%. Hidden bullish divergence still developing for Fisker. Bounced off the 200 moving average for the second time now. The last time was on December 6th. 4-hour, another pin bar, just like we talked about. A lot of these pin bars and bullish engulfing candles from the first 4-hour candle on Friday pretty much confirmed hidden bullish divergence. So hopefully Fisker can just hold this mid to lower $16 level. GameStop, there you go. This trade's currently up about 5% maybe. GameStop's up about 5% since the entry alerted last week. And beautiful bullish engulfing candle, broke out of the channel. Pretty much so far so good on GameStop. You just want to hold this blue support zone. So nice stuff there. Palantir, another bullish engulfing candle for Palantir. Just a lot of these charts looking like the same exact thing. Testing the supply line of the dragon pattern on the 4-hour. Bullish engulfing candle on the daily, confirmed classic bullish divergence at the PCZ. It will really suck if COVID rates going back up and potential lockdowns. You know, and I'm not saying this like in a weird way. I'm just saying from a technical standpoint, like it was like finally after months of selling off, we finally got to a point where a lot of these stocks are showing hammer candles and bullish engulfing candles with classic bullish divergence on the daily at major historical supports, which are also testing the supply lines of patterns and the PCZs of harmonics and all these different terms. If you're unaware of them, watch the course. It's the links in the description. But like we waited months for all these setups, and then who knows, they all might just get overridden because of COVID going back up. So that sucks. But we'll see what happens. So I mean, again, like I said earlier, a lot of these things still look really, really sharp to me from a technical standpoint. It's just now the fear comes in from COVID, and we'll see if that destroys all of these setups. But that's Palantir. Trades up 4% since the entry. Zoom, huge day. It was up 10%. This actually, even if the market's red, could keep going higher as a stay-at-home stock. Up 10% since the entry alert last week. Confirmed classic bullish divergence on the daily. Double bottom at 176, which used to be a resistance in May of 2020. It's also towards the PCZ of this bullish bat. So Zoom, technical standpoint, looking really nicely. Confirmed a breakout of the double bottom as it broke above this little neckline at 198, closed almost at 200. There you go. Wix, he had another swing in the green. So you're starting to see, you know, we had a few swings stop out last week, but the ones that didn't stop out are really starting to come to life. But now the futures are down 2%, so we'll see. But yeah, Wix, bullish engulfing candle in the daily. MACD crossed over to green, bouncing at this inflection zone off the demand line. Like exactly what you want to see from a technical standpoint is happening. It's just a question of can it hold if we really start getting lockdowns. SU down 2%. It's just still trying to bounce off of this demand line of the handle of the cup and handle. We'll see if it can hold it. Small gap to fill around 2370. And then VLO still just going sideways. So that's your updates on crypto. The market, some individual tickers I'm watching this week, the ongoing swings, and all of that. So yeah, there's your update going into the week. Honestly think it's going to be a really volatile week. Maybe makes for some really good day trading with all the volume you might get, but could be a little bit tough for swing traders if you know Biden says we're going back into like lockdown. I don't even know if, again, I'm not really an expert with science or how politics work. I don't even know if that's within Biden's power or not, but like if we start seeing lockdowns across the board, we'll see what happens. So what's up, Maxime? What's up, Big Mike, Zoot TV? For anybody who's seen the stream, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Nerve says, Elon just tweeted, for those wondering, I will pay over $11 billion in taxes this year. That's breadcrumbs to Elon Musk. What's up, Mr. 90210 again? I know I saw you in the chat earlier. So yeah, that's your breakdown. We already covered quite a bit. I guess I could bring up two more that I'm looking at this week. What's up, Neutron Flux Labs? CODX and VIR. I used to trade these a lot last summer after the COVID crash. You can see what they did. This was the COVID crash, and from the COVID crash low to its high, CODX went up 445%, and then VIR from the COVID low to its high went up 420. So both of these kind of after the last COVID crash, both of these went up about 400%. I trade them a lot on these little moves up. Not little, actually, those huge moves up. But I'm watching them again, obviously, because of the environment right now, but also from a technical standpoint, CODX has classic bullish divergence on the daily. On lower time frames, it broke out of a wedge with classic bullish divergence, and all that's kind of at the PCZ, or a potential double bottom of the PCZ of a bullish bat. So I'm watching CODX this week. Honestly, not a lot of short-term resistance. The next one is around like 930 and then $10. And I'm also watching VIR, which is trying to break out of this downsloping broadening wedge it's been in since March of this year. It actually did break out of it. Now it's actually trying to back test it. There is a gap fill at 46.84, unfortunately, though, but maybe it doesn't fill, and it's trying to break out of this horizontal level. So those are two other major charts I'm watching for this week. But we'll see what happens. And yeah, futures still down. Actually, your Russell futures are still down about 2%, and NASDAQ and S&P futures actually selling off even more right now. Bitcoin's completely flat in the last couple of hours, though. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Hit the like button if you didn't. hit the subscribe button. Check out the links in the description. One-on-one classes signups will be closing this week. Probably within the next couple of days, I'll be closing the one-on-one classes. I might close them tomorrow. I might close them on Friday. I have no clue. I'm just going to do it randomly. So if you want to sign up for a class, pretty much do it now. Don't, ask me in a week and a half when I close them. If you want to sign up, do it right now. The classes are only going to run until like probably the beginning of January is when I'm going to stop running them. So I need all the signups to be done so I can schedule everything out. Premium, around 8,000% profits on options in the last 2 months, cumulative, and a little bit rough of a number. It's not completely perfect, but if you want to join premium, also have to say past results are not always indicative of the future. Let me actually say it again because I kind of mumbled. Past results are not always indicative of the future, but if you want to join premium, it's the second link in the description, and join the Discord, links in the description, and watch the free course if you ever get confused with any of the terms I bring up on the channel, or if you want to learn more about trading. So with all of that being said, that's pretty much the bulk of the stream. We could just do taker requests for a little bit, I guess. So Sunday night, futures are down. Maybe there's some football on. I understand why it might be a little bit of a slower stream. Also, the overall market lately. Remember, we had that one day last week. I know all of you remember this. I literally said it like 2 days before. Don't be surprised if very shortly we're going to have like 50 people watching. And then like 2 days later, after the FOMC meeting, we had the 50 that night. So yeah, I mean, these are all things that the composite operator plans. The imaginary figure controlling the markets. These are all things that he does. Plays with the emotions of market participants. I think it's a Warren Buffett quote that the stock market's pretty much the greatest transfer of wealth from the impatient over into the patient. Something along those lines. So yeah, if you want me to look at it, take or drop it in the chat. Don't request anything up over 30% on Friday. Do not request any OTCs. Do not request any new IPOs. And remember, nothing I say is financial advice. And for all these ticker requests, please remember futures are currently down a lot. I'm going to pretend they're not, but you have to remember that they are. So a lot of these technical things I bring up could literally be invalidated at the open tomorrow. So IRNT, I kind of see as a wedge that it's currently breaking under the demand line. So I'd like to see it reclaim the demand line. Your closest resistance is around 630. You have a gap fill right there, and you don't have any support looking left. This is your all-time low. There's not much that can be done from a technical standpoint. Maybe you could use Fibonacci. You're kind of around your 1618 here. Your 2618, you're probably not going to get there unless it gets delisted because that's a negative number. If you want to look at the larger fibs, those were your larger fibs. If you want to look at the smaller fibs, you could probably do this. And you're actually sitting at a 2618. So nice Fibonacci confluence there. From your mini swing low to swing high, you're at a 2618. And then from your larger swing low to swing high, you're at a 1618. So decent Fibonacci confluence here. Maybe $4 could be a psychological support as well. We'll see. BLU support 733 from this little resistance over here, and then the candle over here. Might be in a little bit of like a pattern here. Might actually be breaking out of like a descending triangle or a falling wedge here with some hidden bullish divergence. So I'd say you really would just want to hold above this little support zone. As you can see right here, you probably just really want to hold that. And then resistances, I'd say 848 and then around $9. Tattooed Chef. Another bullish engulfing candle from Friday. Like all these technicals just lined up so perfectly, and then COVID happened. Tattooed Chef has a wave of classic bullish divergence currently playing out on the RSI. It's testing the supply line of this broadening wedge. It's trying to bounce off this historical support zone. Not much resistance till $19 on Tattooed Chef. It's just a question of if it can hold this support zone and break out over here. I don't know what that ticker is. BASK? I have no clue what that is. BAWR? Space. It's testing a make or break area. This is probably the biggest make or break area. From this low over here, from these lows, kind of from this low, it's testing it. maybe even trying to double bottom here. Again, a lot of these stocks look just like this. Trying to double bottom. Let me redrill that. Whoa. Trying to double bottom, and then they're pretty close to breaking out of supply lines. They all look similar. It will just see which way they play out for the most part. That's really all I can do. Nice little pin bar on the daily, but it's got to break back above this level. It's slightly under it for right now. Upstart also slightly broke under an important level, which was this gap fill. Didn't really act, well, it acted as support on Thursday. On Friday, it just gapped under it and stayed under it and closed under it. But you did get a bullish pin bar out of it. You're still pretty close to a bullish shark. And potential classic bullish divergence and oversold. So on Upstart, it's just a question of can it get back above and hold 141. Otherwise, next support I see is 116. Okay, and then after that, 106. That's Upstart. And yeah, I don't know, the VA and then the other random letters and then typing tech after it, that just kind of looks like they're bots to me in the chat. If you see the message from those two people, so I'm just not gonna look at them. They kind of look like bots to me, so just not gonna reply to those. And yeah, maybe we just call it there for the stream, make it a short stream. It's all good. I'll be live the next 4 days. We're gonna have a charity stream probably on Thursday for Christmas. It's most likely gonna be for tornado relief in Kentucky. So I'll probably be a stream that you don't want to miss. And yeah, thank you for watching the stream. Short and sweet tonight. We'll be back at it tomorrow, either at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock EST. Good luck trading the market if you choose to. Have a great night. Join the Discord, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and peace out.